Today I'm at the New York Auto Show, and after spending some time out on the show floor, it's clear that the variety of electrified vehicle options available to purchase today is absolutely massive, and it's only getting bigger. But what I wanted to do is spotlight the electric vehicles, not just electrified. That means a battery and a plug, no engine, no hybrid, no range extender, and take a closer look at just what that variety of electric vehicle options is and what's the state of EV shopping in 2024. And I figured there's no better place to start than the one that started it all, the icon of the electric revolution, the Nissan Leaf. Now the Leaf is a very easy undersell and a very difficult oversell, but Nissan built the Leaf before anyone was really asking for it. And it was an absolute revolutionary vehicle because it was affordable. It was practical. It came in hatchback form. It had standard features like heated seats and a heated steering wheel that you were only finding in more luxurious options at the time. But what the Nissan Leaf was the first step forward, and the first step or the introduction to electric vehicles for a lot of consumers. And yes, it fell a little bit flat, even though it was the most bubbly car on the road, but that doesn't mean that it didn't play an important part, and it doesn't mean that it's a bad vehicle to purchase today. It's true that the Leaf is aging, but it's also true that you get a 5-seater, functional hatchback, fully electric vehicle starting under $30,000 and still eligible for a federal tax credit. One of the biggest downsides is what happens under here. Now, it's not the location of this charging port because the front is one of the most convenient. The problem lies here in the CHAdeMO connector, which is not only phased out from every new vehicle, but likely going to be phased out at charging stations around the United States. It doesn't mean they're gone tomorrow, and if you're using this as a city car, you still have your standard J1772 available. But for under $30,000 for a brand new electric vehicle that you can use every day in almost every circumstance that comes with a full warranty, this is still a quality offering. Now, Nissan may have gotten a head start, but they certainly weren't always leading the pack. And it wasn't until the last few years that the Nissan Ariya showed up, which is the crossover option, the very future-forward direction for Nissan's electrification strategy. This is a very different machine than we find in the Leaf. One of the biggest things is that it does not have that CHAdeMO connector. It has the CCS connector that we have seen on just about every other vehicle here on the showroom floor today. And the cabin is a very different space than what we find in the admittedly aging Nissan Leaf. It's still a 5-seater, it's still a hatchback, though a crossover, so you do get a ton of storage capability, and it's a very different look that it might be a bit polarizing to some, but I think it's going to age well. It's very sleek, it's a little bit sexy, but it's still a relatively affordable option for the consumer who wants to go electric. If you're looking for something more conventional, look no further than the Hyundai Kona. But one of the best parts about the Kona is you won't even necessarily know this is the electric one unless you look closely at the wheels and tires and check the badge on the back, because this is a mirror image of the gasoline version. And that's what a lot of people might be looking for, is an electric vehicle that doesn't scream that it's an electric vehicle. And what you get with the Kona is a very good selling, moderately sized, reasonable, again, relatively affordable hatchback crossover that is going to fit a lot of your daily needs, and it just happens to be electric, like I said, instead of screaming electric. There are options like this, and then there are options that go a slightly different direction. We have vans of sorts that might even have performance variations of sorts, as long as they actually get into production and finally make it to driveways. But what we also see here is a different variant of the electric vehicle, which is not the standard car, nor is it the future-facing, but very much the retro vibe. And because of the variations that we can get with the packaging of the motors and the batteries, we get all-wheel drive vans that don't take up any more space, and in the front take up very little space, that we're able to really leverage. And I think this is one of the biggest strengths with electric vehicles, is that we can finally do something a little bit different and we can break the mold. So even if this isn't your cup of tea, I appreciate that it exists because it gives a little more creative freedom to other manufacturers to try something new. This would be the slightly different direction, which is the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which has a much boxier profile than you find in a lot of other electric vehicles that are going for a much more swoopy aerodynamic look, but it also has some retro inspiration. And you look at this and this looks different. And that different does end up being electric, but if you want something more different, but still in this variety, Hyundai has an option for you there as well. If you like the Ioniq 5 overall design, but you want something a little more radical, then the Ioniq 5N is the one you're looking for, and we will have a review on that coming soon. But this isn't just a body kit or a really nice paint color, it's the performant variant. And if you look closely, you get bigger wheels, you get bigger brakes, you get different body. That's for those wider tires. It's for more aerodynamics. You get more cooling up front. And on the inside, you get a certainly more race-inspired design. You're getting different seats, you have some different colors, and in the back, a nice spoiler. So if you like the different and want to lean farther into it, good news, there's a high-performance version that'll fit your needs just fine. If the car, crossover, or SUV don't quite meet your needs and you've got a truck at home that you're looking to replace down the road, there are quite a few options available on the market in 2024, but few are as flexible or versatile as this Chevy Silverado. Is this not nice enough for you? Well, there's a Sierra version, the GMC Sierra, that's going to have a few more niceties inside, but when you talk about flexibility and what an electric vehicle can do that others can't, or at least aren't, we see a lot of that here in the Silverado. We've got a large front trunk. We have plenty of cabin space, which is one of the things shoppers are looking for most in their trucks these days. But what we also find is without having an enormous bed, we have a lot of storage capacity. That flexible storage capability comes in the form of this midgate, which is not a brand new feature to trucks. It has been used before in the Chevrolet lineup in the old Avalanche. But what we find here is an electric truck that's being built from the ground up to do something different. And what they've decided to do is integrate this midgate. You'll also find it on the GMC Sierra. So if you like those niceties that it offers, then you can have it there as well. And this is just an example of what electric trucks are doing a little bit different than your standard trucks. And yes, you may not be able to go as far when you're towing, and you may not have the overall maximum capacity. But for a lot of folks, that's not going to be what they're shopping for a truck for. They want flexibility. And it's hard to argue that something like this doesn't offer the most flexibility while also being a whole lot less expensive to drive to and from work on a daily basis. If you find yourself with more than the average 2.5 children, then you're going to need something a little bit bigger. And there's an option for you here in the Kia EV9, which is the 3-row electric vehicle with a few different seating configurations and all the performance you may be interested in. Now, performance isn't going to be for everyone, ultra luxury isn't going to be for everyone, and the good news is that you can get this vehicle starting under $60,000, which is still not cheap, but especially when you start calculating in some of the fuel economy that you wouldn't be getting in a comparably sized gasoline vehicle, it does make this a little bit more attractive. And because this isn't the only one coming, it's nice to know that the other options may fit the bill of what you need a little bit better. If you decide you want your commute to be fueled by electrons and not a combustible fluid, but you don't want to give up any of the comforts or performance that you've known from your other Porsches, well, the Macan electric is a great solution. And it's not just the Macan, but the Taycan that are available to you. And you'd be forgiven if you didn't notice that this was electric besides the badge here, because the Macan over there looks a whole heck of a lot similar. And that's one of the things that we're seeing more and more these days, is that you have options from the very electric looking to the not at all electric looking. And the more variety we have, the higher the adoption rate of electric vehicles as far as I'm concerned. And if you do end up with an opportunity to drive one of these, it is worthwhile because they're a very nice machine. So whether you're looking to replace your commuter car, your daily driver, your family hauler, your workhorse, or even your performance car, there are lots of options varying from very under the radar and blended in to very much on the radar, like this Magma Orange GV60 performance concept that I have next to me. The fact of the matter is there are a lot of electric vehicle options available in 2024, and those options are only growing as the years go on. And if you find yourself in a specific category that you don't feel is met with a full battery electric vehicle, the best thing I can do is tell you to wait, because those are continuously growing time over time. And if you're interested in electric but are concerned about how they drive, go drive one. If you're not sure if you can get to and from where you want to go, keep a daily mileage log to see how far you're actually driving. And you might see that 150, 200, 250 miles is probably more than enough. And understanding that the electric charging infrastructure is continuously growing as well means that your needs may already be met or on the way to being met with what's in place today. I hope you enjoyed the tour of some of the electric vehicle offerings here at the New York Auto Show. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, find us on all of our social media places, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, any and all other social media outlets. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.